This week I have a new part to check out. The box arrived a bit dented up, so let's open it up to check it out. This box is pretty big, as you can see. So the number 2 question I've been asked on social media about once a week for the past 8 years is, yo, what wing is that? For reference, the number 1 question was always, yo, what cams are those? And the number 3 question was, yo, what wheel specs? The basis of asking what wing and wheels I had was always about getting the look. And asking about the cams was always about getting the sound. But I'll address that more in a minute. The answer to, yo, what wing is that? It's an APR GT250. I went with an off-the-shelf 67-inch wing with a 10-inch cord. Although you can get a 71-inch wing, I went with 67 because my goal was to decrease drag, and I'm not sure that I'm really going to overpower this wing, especially since I plan on running a soft rear suspension setup. I'm not really sponsored by anybody, so I'm really able to just give my opinions without any bias. So I went with an APR GT250 because I used to have an APR GT300, but I was concerned that it was making too much drag. The GT250 makes nearly the same amount of downforce, but makes less drag. This wing is made out of carbon composite and billet aluminum. I had confidence in my past APR wing even at top track speeds. I have read that there have been some criticism about their construction methods relative to their cost, but I haven't experienced them yet myself. So why does this matter? Well, I had said in an earlier video that I felt the car pulled a parachute in 4th gear. We won half of our events in 2017, the last year the car competed. But the average car that was able to beat us in the same class of time attack competition in other events that we did lose, they had an average of 649 horsepower and weighed an average of 2,844 pounds. And they all had a good driver with years of experience. So by doing this one modification, I'm able to make the car more efficient at a relatively low cost because I was able to sell the APR GT300 first. I may not always be able to beat all of the purpose-built machines, but I'll always give them a hard time and I'll have a lot of fun while I do it. In fact, my main goal was to reduce drag so much that I almost went with a custom shop-made wicker bill or NASCAR-style spoiler. In the end, you never know, I might run one or the other, depending on the track. So how should you pick your wing? For most car enthusiasts, their cars have become merely fashion accessories. With the imminent death of the stance and hella flush styling trend that sort of dominated from 2006 to 2015, the pendulum is swinging as it usually does from form over function in show car builds to builds that are function or track inspired. Just like the stance fad replaced the catfish-looking fiberglass body kit quarter mile at a time Fast and the Furious lifestyle of the late 90s and early 2000s. As such, 95% of car enthusiasts pick their wing from the internet on pictures alone. They want that track-inspired look for their next Instagram photo or parking lot meet. They will either Google G35 wing or 350Z wing. They'll hop on Facebook group and they'll say, I'm thinking about putting a wing on my car, post up pics, PFA, which means pick for attention. And I'm not being judgmental. I used to do the exact same thing. But I'm here to encourage you that your car doesn't have to just be a fashion accessory. You can do this, or you can do this. But you lose all coolness when your wing is fluttering or shaking when you're even just going highway speeds. If you learn to drive, your driving skills follow you to every platform you ever own, and it makes every car more fun. So I'm not an engineer, but this is my advice on how to pick a wing, short of just asking for pics on the internet. First, a big GT wing is usually a grip modification that works in conjunction with your suspension for track use. Even on supercars, it's usually a track pack option. If you are, or even may use it at the track, do a little research on size limitations of your class you might be competing in. Even if you're not going to compete, you probably don't want to build a rear downforce only understeer of death machine, so a bigger wing by itself is not always better. Some common restrictions are that the wing can't be wider than the car at either the rear bodywork or at the car's widest point. Sometimes a wing can't extend higher than the roofline in lower classes of timed events. Sometimes the surface area of the wing has to fall under a certain surface area. These rules are usually not that complicated and are a good starting point. You can then either Google the width of your car, or you can drop a chalk plumb line to the ground and just outline it with a piece of chalk and measure off the ground. If you're going to purchase a ready-made wing, nothing is perfect, but look for a company that has some lift-to-drag ratio and CFD data available. This is the shortcoming of some of the popular wing companies like Battle Aero and Big Country Labs, in my opinion. They may list that their wings are tested for durability or that they make downforce, but there's nothing listed on drag. If you want to go fast, drag is very important. And if you hop on any of the Facebook groups, especially the general groups, and say, I'm looking for a wing, most of what gets suggested is Big Country Labs wings and Battle Aero wings. And it's just because people don't know better. Drifters are the one exception to this rule. It used to be very common to see drift cars running GT wings, but they were mostly being run in yaw and stall. They seemed to be mostly on the car to look cool. Some series banned the wings for safety reasons. Aerodynamics doesn't seem to have been optimized in drifting yet. So if you are attaching a wing to a smoke machine that would get smashed up, you're likely going to pick something cheap that looks cool and won't break. And we all know how drifters are extremely influential in what show cars find fashionable. Remember, kids, any machine is a smoke machine if you operate it wrong enough. I'm just kidding, and I'm not judging either. I just like to go fast. But if I could pick up drifting as a hobby and for the laughs, I totally would. So some wings I considered were APR, 9 Lives Racing, and a local company called Space Sport. In the end, I picked APR on its 15:2 lift-to-drag ratio, and it was a known quantity to me, and it was lighter than the 9 Lives Racing wing. However, 9 Lives is one of the cheapest wings I've seen that offers some lift-to-drag CFD data, however. So at least they're designing their wings on a computer and trying to give you an efficient product. Some people make their own wings. I follow a channel called XF Motorsports. He just posted about making his own wing a few days ago. You can check that out if you want. If there was a guy that was as passionate about building cars as I was about driving cars, he seems to be one of the guys with one of the best YouTube channels. If you remember back to one of my first videos of this season, my stock steel hatch was dented from driving at high speed with my past APR wing. To keep the new APR wing from instantly destroying the new Sabon carbon fiber hatch, I'm going to be taking all of this to Levine Motorsports in Kitchener, Ontario, to start the more extensive modifications for the year. That includes chassis mounting this wing to prevent that from happening. If you've ever seen a GT wing rip off a car at 200 kilometers an hour, it's not cool. So the last thing I'm going to be doing is making sure that APR sent me the correct uprights. These wings are made generic, and then they sent different adjustable billet aluminum uprights that match specific car applications. The first wing I ever got from APR in 2012 had the wrong uprights included, and I could not get any of the proper angles of attack. Ironically, I went out to try and test fit my wing, and I realized I had to bring my wife out to take pictures because for the second time in a row, nearly 9 years apart, APR sent the incorrect uprights. Notice how what is supposed to be the 0 degrees angle of attack setting is getting ready for takeoff. So I am writing APR and asking for them to send me the correct uprights as soon as possible. Last time they did this, they just drop shipped me some new uprights without any question. I just had to send a picture that they were wrong, so it didn't end up being a big deal. I hope this is resolved quickly this time. So I usually finish my videos with some accounting. What did things cost so far? But then I wonder, am I being classless? Do people even care? I'm not sure. So that's it for this video. In some upcoming episodes, we'll talk more about engine and drivetrain plans for the year. And we'll be loading up for Levine Motorsports. I'm told that the time for me to bring my car in there is coming soon. Okay, we'll see you in the next episodes.